Hey everyone, welcome back to the Center Car Care YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the surface you touch the most with your hands in your vehicle and why it's important to keep it clean. We've had many people write in on our website asking us specifically, how do you clean a leather steering wheel? So we're going to talk about how you get into that, and we're going to need a few tools to get started. We're going to grab our all-purpose cleaner, a couple brushes, microfiber, and let's get into that. If you see here on the steering wheel, it's super shiny. Well, clean leather isn't shiny, it's more of a matte appearance. So what we want to do is get that all cleaned off and restore it back to its original finish. What all this shininess is actually all the oils in your fingers. If you had sunscreen on or if you had lotion on, it eventually just all ends up binding to the surface of the steering wheel. Most of the steering wheels nowadays that are leather are going to have some kind of clear coat over top of the surface of them. So we're going to clean that up. If you have something like a Ford King Ranch that might have a genuine leather steering wheel, it's a little bit different process, but we'll kind of cover that for you too. So we're going to first start in here. We have a Scrub Ninja here that just has a more of abrasive side. You could, if you have like a tan steering wheel and it's super filthy, you could go for something like a melamine sponge, like a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. But that's a nuclear option that's super aggressive. But so what we're going to use today, this has some aggressive fibers on the back side of this. It's nice and padded, so we can kind of wrap this around the steering wheel, scrub that down. To start off, take that all-purpose cleaner. We're going to spray it right on this. And you're just going to kind of go over top of the steering wheel, pretty self-explanatory. Go in little circles. This part is obviously pretty easy. If you have, I know my fiance will have on her steering wheel makeup like caked into all these little nooks and crannies. That is going to require a little extra scrubbing just to make sure you get it. A lot of times you'll get it clean, but then if you look at the back side of the steering wheel, you'll see where it was like running. Make sure you're getting in every nook and cranny here. All right, then as you kind of scrub this down, you pull it off, you can see how filthy that is. So on a black steering wheel, it's kind of harder to see the dirt, but I promise you it's on there. So we're gonna wipe that down. Yeah, as you can see, it still has plenty on there. All right, now we're gonna go into all these little perforated areas and around the rest of the steering wheel. This has a white stitching on the inside here. So I'm gonna try and get that a little bit better with a brush. Spray it on the brush first. Just trying to get every edge here, so kind of get little circles going, build up that lather. Allow the all-purpose cleaner to kind of penetrate in there. An all-purpose cleaner with the pH that it has is just made perfectly to break down organic materials like your skin cells or anything else that might be on here. So it does a really good job of going in there, breaking that up and lifting it to the surface. Then for that, take the microfiber again. Scrub that as best we can. And it'll start to restore that yellow or that white stitching back to it. So I don't know if you can see the difference. You can see the stitching here. It's obviously another shade compared to that one. You might not realize it after you're going for a couple 100,000 miles, but then once you clean it up once, it really makes a big difference. And that's all around the inside of this steering wheel. So we're gonna go around, clean that with the brush. All right, so we're just gonna go around the rest of the steering wheel here, just like we did the top side. Spray the all-purpose cleaner onto your Scrub Ninja. Go around, scrub this down. Wipe it down with the microfiber, dry that off. Just gonna finish going around this whole steering wheel quickly, get that stitching, get that outside, and then we can kind of focus on the inside of the steering wheel then. So now we got the outer edge of the steering wheel nice and clean. We're gonna move on more to the inside, and I'm sure you can see, I mean, this car has got 115,000 miles on it. The coating on the outside of this is starting to wear off in spots. So it's something you wanna be really careful with. I'm not gonna use a brush on something like this because it can kind of get in and just peel this back even more. See on this side, this button is actually broken, the hang up button. So I don't wanna spray any chemical directly right on that, so you don't want to get into those electronics. We're gonna spray it on the microfiber first. And we'll kind of wipe over the main portions of the steering wheel here. And then when you have like those little tiny cracks and crevices here, that dirt will dust will stay in there. You can either just kind of grab the edge of a microfiber and slide it behind there to grab it, or it's a little bit easier is if you have like a duster, you can kind of just spray some air into those, or an air compressor would work well for this. Gets those dust out of the cracks. And then when a lot of people are cleaning their steering wheel, one thing that a lot of people miss is getting between the steering column and the steering wheel. So I usually like to do is take the microfiber, go in between it that way, go in between it this way, kind of just skid around that area, because you might not notice that, but when you turn the steering wheel, sometimes you can see a lot of dirt and residue still stuck in that area. Typically when I'm cleaning the steering wheel, I'll wipe down the turn signals or gear cluster as well. And for my fiance's car is a pretty big spot to have like makeup buildup or something like that on there. Now that this is all cleaned with the all-purpose cleaner, we want to neutralize the high pH of the all-purpose cleaner by wetting a microfiber with water, and we're going to just wipe down all those areas. That way we're not leaving this in a high pH state. With leather, it has more of a neutral pH, so you kind of want to return it back to that original form. So I'm going to wet this. I'm just going to use a bottle of water because it's convenient. All right, so we got a wet microfiber here. It's going to wipe down all the areas that we just cleaned. Get any residue from the all-purpose cleaner off of there. This is going to help to keep that leather in good condition and also prevent from attracting new soils. Because while that all-purpose cleaner goes in and attracts the soil, pulls it out of whatever nook and cranny it was stuck in, it will also just pull it right off your hands and put it back on the steering wheel. So you want to always return that surface back to a neutral state, neutral pH state. All right, then after we wipe that down with the wet microfiber, I'll typically just go back, dry it off with a perfectly clean, dry microfiber, just to make sure there's not streaks or anything from the water. Now you'll notice, I'm sure we can pull up a before and after, but it went from a shiny steering wheel to now it's that matte finish that this is intended to be. This has a clear coat over top of the leather, as most leather does nowadays. So when we apply a protectant, it's not exactly going to be soaking into the leather, but we're going to be applying it on the surface of the clear coat, which the purpose of this here is provide UV protection and also prevent kind of a dye transfer. So imagine if you came in here and let's say you had a white steering wheel and your jeans brush up against it. If it has a leather conditioner on there, it's less likely to transfer onto the steering wheel, and if it does, it's much easier to clean that. So we're going to switch over to using a leather cleaner conditioner right now and treat this and protect it. So if your steering wheel wasn't super dirty to begin with, you could just jump right into having this leather cleaner conditioner. Like I said, it cleans, conditions, protects all in one step. But if it has heavier soiling, that's how you would go about it with the all-purpose cleaner. So what we're gonna do is spray that onto a microfiber, rub that in a little bit, and we're just gonna go and apply it to all the surfaces that we cleaned. I know some people might be like, well, it's not gonna make the steering wheel slippery. It's literally the control surface for the vehicle. Leather conditioners will soak in a little bit. If you're worried about it being slippery, you can always wipe it down with a dry microfiber afterwards. But this one should help. Once it dries, it shouldn't be slippery at all like a silicone dressing would be. Center steering wheel is vinyl, but we'll just wipe that down with the dressing or with the leather conditioner as well. It's not gonna hurt it. Give it some UV protection. I'll flip to a dry side. I'm just being careful wiping around this because you see this coating is coming off of there. So I don't want to keep dragging that off. If I were to, I'll sacrifice this for you guys. You start to see it pulling off little pieces. So try and keep that as intact as you can by not blowing an air compressor right on it, not rubbing a microfiber off it super hard. All right, so earlier I mentioned if you have something like the Ford King Ranch that has genuine leather steering wheel that doesn't have the clear coat on it, you'll know it is because as soon as you apply any kind of leather cleaner conditioner to it, it changes the color instantly to a darker color. With those, skip the all-purpose cleaner step, just go with the leather cleaner conditioner. Be a little bit more delicate with it because it doesn't have that clear coat protection on it. Spray it on the towel, wipe it over it, and make sure you're wiping it over every square inch of where that leather is, because any spot that you miss, it's going to have a slightly different color, because where you applied the conditioner, you'll notice it instantly changes to a darker appearance. That'll eventually fade over time and get back to the color that it had, but that wherever that leather was treated is going to be more conditioned than another area, which will have a slight color change to it. So make sure when you're treating a genuine leather steering wheel that you're covering each and every square inch of that steering wheel, or wherever you haven't, it will be that color change. All right, so that's some tips and some things to keep in mind when cleaning a leather steering wheel. Let us know what you want to see in the next videos in the comments down below. If you made it this far, like the video, let us know you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.